On our way from Bida, we got to Lapai. And when we passed Lapai, there's a bridge in Lapai that takes the water intake from Shiroro. And at that time, that was in April, at that time, the water level was very high. And something came to me and said, what am I going to do with this child? Let me end it up in this bridge. So I parked after the bridge and I went to the hood of my car. I brought out the 5 Ghana must go, 3 here, 2 here. My attempt was I was going to jump into the water with the heavy load in my hand so that I can sink down. And by the time I made that attempt, only the 5 Ghana must go went into the river. I remained at the bridge head. Welcome, viewers. You recall that I stopped at the last episode of how I joined North Breweries, and for one attraction, I was promised that as a manager, I'll be given free beer, and I love beer. So I joined North Breweries, and I was posted to Makurdi as the area sales manager in North Breweries. I got married that same year in 1982, December 27th, in the city of Asia. We had our first child, a boy. And when I got to Makurdi, I was invited to join the AMORC. In fact, my supervisor in Makurdi, I was in charge of the whole Southeast, was the, what do they call them? The grandfather of AMORC. Most of the people that I know, judges in Makurdi in those days, were my drinking partners. And I just remember, I said, what do I need to join AMORC for? Something just occurred to me that look at my life, how it has been. I didn't do anything and I'm here as a manager. I had a brand new car. My official car was a Mazda 323 with full air condition. And I was making money, so I felt no reason to join the AMORC. And because of that, I was victimized. After some months, I was transferred back to Kano as an area sales manager, special duties. I didn't have an office, nothing. There was nothing special about my duty. And one day, the Yola depot was in crisis. And so they needed somebody who can go and reorganize the depot. And that depot was being managed by a supervisor. So I was transferred to Yola to go and manage it, and they restructured the depot. On a Friday that I was going to start going to Yola that weekend, I met my managing director, Chief A.B. Fowowe, along the corridor. And he saw me. He said, Mr. Aina, you are going to Yola. He said, what do you feel about going to relieve a supervisor on his job? I said, sir, it will only challenge the supervisor to know he's doing a manager's job. He looked at me to my face, eyeball to eyeball, and he said, you mean it? I said, yes, sir. It's okay, I wish you good luck. Beloved, I got to Yola. I restructured Yola depot in 3 months, and I was brought back to Kano as area sales manager administration. And that was how the position I was until I was promoted to a middle manager. And in 1984, we had our second child. On the day of the naming ceremony, my AGM marketing, who had already penciled down my name to be retrenched, was the first person that came to my house for the party. And we had party all through the night. My chief accountant, he's late now, Mr. Latilo, was looking at me with amazement. This boy does not know what will befall him next week. And look at the way he's behaving. And he called me apart and said, I see, can you see me in my house by Sunday? So I went to his house and he told me, do you know that's going to be retrenchment next week? I said, yes, I know. And your name is number 1 on the list. I said, okay. If that is what God wants me to do, and that's the, so be it. He was shocked because of my answer, because all my other colleagues were going to beg. And what they were begging for, they were going to join the AMORC. But I refused, and I was retrenched. I had 33 naira in my account. The day I was retrenched with Union Bank, Lapai, up to today, I didn't go back to that account. I started business, and I registered a company called Dapson Limited. And that was how I started my business. My wife was teaching in Federal Government College, Kano, so we were living on her salary. By December that year, my marketing manager, Dele Shobowale, who loved me so well, became the marketing manager of Standard Breweries in Bida. So he invited me for an interview, and that was how I was employed. I was employed in December, and I was asked to go and set up the Eastern area office. I was employed to be in the Northern region. And after 6 months in the East, I was brought back to Kaduna. Now, why do I say this story? Most of my colleagues that waited in North Brewery, a year, 2 years later, I became the one that was looking for a job for them when North Brewery closed down in Kaduna. And I stayed in Standard Brewery. After about 2 years, Dr. Shobowale, he writes today with Vanguard. Dele Shobowale, we're still very close. And he left Standard Breweries, and I was promoted to go to Kano, to Ibadan. So I refused. I resigned my job. All this period, I was living a very terrible, riotous life. Very terrible. Money was coming and I was squandering it. I got another job with Niger First Integrated Farms. But that was the time I started another business. My first business I started before then was a beer parlor. When I'm in the beer parlor, my wife, when she comes back from school, she will prepare pepper soup and bring to the beer parlor. So I'll drink pepper soup and with my friend, and we're still making money. I started a poultry, didn't work, and I started a yogurt factory in Kaduna. My company was the first that started bottling yogurt in the PET bottle. And how did it happen? There was a trade fair in Kaduna, annual trade fair. And this company came from Kano, Gongoni. They came with these small, small bottles. Plenty. They were looking for buyers. They didn't see buyers. And the thing told me I can bottle my yogurt there. So I went there. And they gave me a truckload. They said when I finish using it, I should come and pay. And that was how I started bottling yogurt in PET bottle. I took a loan from New African Merchant Bank to go and automate my production. There's one doctor in Mina, Dr. Mustafa. He had imported a mini dairy plant from Alpha Lava. He didn't use it in the box. General Wushishi Late was my boss in Niger First, was the one who helped me to guarantee the loan I took from New African Merchant Bank. And I bought those machines, and that was the day of SAP. I went to France to buy automatic packaging machine, and that was the undoing. The machine didn't come until 5 months later. By the time the machine came, the interest was even more than the principal. And that was why I was being chased up and down by several banks, 4 banks. I was indebted to the tune of 4.8 million naira as at 1992. By 1993, I was at the wit end. I was selling my property, and when I sell, I would take the money to the bank. By the time I take the money to the bank, the money will sink with interest. Before I sell another one, I sold more than 5 houses in Kaduna. I sold my car. I had 280 heads of cattle because we were milking our cattle to make yogurt. I sold 200 to General M.I. Wushishi Farm, and the remaining 80, I took it to my village. And that was where I was. By 1994, I was contemplating suicide. I was going to a church, a white garment church, and I was contemplating. Nothing works for me any longer. I have friends that when they come to Kaduna, I will take them out to go and drink, and I'll pay. When they are going back, I'll put money in their pocket. And on this fateful day, a friend of mine came from Mina. We went to primary school together. And he came to my house. He saw me sitting. I have a very big compound in Kaduna. Our house in Kaduna was a 7-bedroom duplex with a big compound. It's on about 10 plots of land with orchard, swimming pool, and all manners of things. And he met me and he asked me, Olu, what is your problem? I told him the story of my life. And my friend said, look, I know one Baba in Bida who can turn around your fortune. I said, okay. So we took off for Bida the following day. When we met the Baba consulted his God, and he said, congratulations, you are not 40 years old then. He said, I can reverse your situation. But I needed to pay him 15,000 naira. I didn't have 15,000 kobo. So I drove back to Kaduna to go and borrow 20,000 naira, increasing my debt. So the third day we came back to Bida, And this Baba gave me 5 Ghana must go, filled with all manner of concussion, medicine, and all manners of them. I had to take a notebook to take instruction how to use them. On my way back, I need to say this, I've never in my life visited an herbalist or a traditional worshipper. On our way from Bida, we got to Lapai, and when we passed Lapai, there's a bridge in Lapai that takes the water intake from Shiroro. And at that time, that was in April, at that time, the water level was very high. And something came to me, say, what am I going to do with this child? Let me end it up in this bridge. So I parked after the bridge, and I went to the hood of my car. I brought out the 5 Ghana must go, 3 here, 2 here. My attempt was I was going to jump into the water with the heavy load in my hand so that I can sink down. And by the time I made that attempt, only the 5 Ghana must go went into the river. I remained at the bridge head. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, success and frustration, finger of God. He first was employed at North Breweries. It turns out that when he was in Kano, I was in Kano also, and I know of that company, although it's defunct today. How is it that a beer lover who had no regard for God refused to join AMORC to advance promotion, to advance position, to advance his progress in life? I tell you, it's God. Went to Makodi to Ibadan, Standard Breweries, came to Kaduna, went into business, one place to another, one place to another. The end of it, he wanted to commit suicide. Success without God will end up in crisis. All of that God orchestrated. You will see in his story where he ended up. He came to the bridge. He just collected charms, amulets to go and change the devil is a liar. What position can devil change for you? Instead of helping you, those things have complicated his life. He was going to jump into the river. How is it that he didn't fall off the bridge together with Ghana must together for 5 bags? What is referring to as Ghana must go are 5, those 5 huge bags like this in the ground. God Almighty didn't want him to waste his life. God had a plan for this man. God had a purpose for him, just like you. God has a purpose for your life. Some of you who are listening to me, you visit native doctors. Instead of helping you, they will double your problem. They will complicate your life. The only person who can help you, his name is Jesus. If you neglected him all your life, out of ignorance, or you are proud, bow the knee to Jesus. You will see what he will do for you. Please, do not forget to subscribe to this channel. Please forward these clips also to your friends. Somebody can beat about the bush, but God is watching. You will hear where Chief Kano ended up. Thanks for tuning in today. God bless you.